In a number of spiritual paths, your deeper questions might find answers in a session in the pastor's study. You're looking for something more, so let's offer you something different. Merry meet, blessed be. I'm Idnodes, High Priest of the Temple of Gaia, and a priest of the Universal Gnostic Fellowship. And welcome to another session in a very different pastor's study. And tonight I want to talk about facing tough issues. I'm talking about the tough issues, the ones where, among other things, you and I might not agree. I think most of you would agree with me on some issues, such as freedom of religion means all religions. But then there's other issues that'll come along. Health care, here in the United States anyway. Abortion, capital punishment, to name a few. And I know we could go on and make a very impressive list. Which political party is worth listening to? The credibility of the current administration as opposed to the credibility or lack thereof of the previous one, or the credibility or lack thereof of the current one. Either one for that matter. Doesn't matter. Either way, there's at least two sides to each and every one of them. And a lot of people on those different sides seem to be tossing slogans around among themselves and each other rather than serious discussion. And when it comes to some things, such as religious choice, abortion, and a few others, sometimes bullying. Well, hey, I know you can think of some examples. I remember when, in the last presidential campaign, the talk was about health care reform, and Sarah Palin talked about government death panels. And then, of course, there's the pro-choice slogan that says if you oppose abortion, don't have one. If you're against abortion, don't have an abortion. And of course, bullying, having to do with religious choice, whether or not a doctor who performs an abortion is going to get shot at, and you have a number of things. Now I have to admit, you take a look, a serious look, a good quality look, one that, well, I had an English professor for English comp, a guy by the name of Chet Taylor. No matter what side we were on an issue, we would accuse him of being on the other side because he would argue the other side very well. Why? Any question of that magnitude is going to have aspects that will tell you that there's some arguments with some strength on both sides. I was mentioning health care reform. And Sarah Palin's talk about death panels if it wound up being a government health plan. Well, Do we want to talk about Bush care or Palin care, since she's talking about Obamacare? Well, I can tell you that the company that provides my prescription medication coverage sent me a letter saying that they were no longer going to cover Benicar, which is a high blood pressure medication that I have to take. And they offered me some alternatives. Fortunately, my cardiologist agreed that there was one of the alternatives that would work. And so I'm still covered. Otherwise, if I wanted to continue with Benicar, I would have had to pay full fare. As it is, this particular company has a special provision for what they call maintenance drugs. A maintenance drug is basically any drug that gets refilled a third time or more. And a maintenance drug gets a $50 copay. $50. In other words, maintenance drug. You need it for either life or quality of life. And if you need it for life or quality of life, excuse me, if you need it for that, then by golly, you better be making the kind of money that's going to pay for it, huh? Yeah. So you think we don't have death panels already? Capital punishment. There's a young man going to probably go on trial for that shooting rampage in Tucson. Looks like a good candidate for the death penalty, especially the way Arizona administers it. But Texas has been, of late, opening the prison doors and sending men home because more modern methods and a critical reevaluation of past practices have proven men pronounced guilty to be in fact innocent. In fact, it was not just a case of no, that it wasn't as conclusive as we thought. Proven innocent. Now, the bad aspect about capital punishment is once the execution is carried out, there is nothing more that can be done for the person, in which case that the person would be able to appreciate it. And abortion. I saw an interesting film on YouTube. An interview with a pro-life person and an interview with a pro-choice person. And the person who was pro-life tossed a question at the person who was pro-choice. What if I go into that store over there and shoot the clerk? Well, I think you know the answer to that one. But I would like to point out something. Within the last 200 years here in the United States, under certain circumstances, it was perfectly legal to kill a red person or a black person. Now, under certain circumstances. Now, it wasn't like they were walking around with targets hanging around their neck or anything like that, but under certain circumstances, it was perfectly okay. Why? Because under the law at the time, they weren't considered to be human. Bullying. I could say a lot about bullying. I've seen it done in the name of various gods and Jesus. I've seen and heard of it done in the name of Muhammad. And you know what? February 20th is Tempest Smith Day. It's going to be the 10th anniversary of her death. She died as the result of religious bullying. Even if a person is wrong, do they deserve to be bullied? So, some issues, religious choice, abortion, political choice, health care, you know, we might not be able to reach agreement that's going to make everybody happy. There was a time that I can think of when it seemed like everybody was in agreement. That was when Eisenhower was president, and for a while when Kennedy was president. And there were earlier times that people thought everybody was in agreement in various countries. Sometimes it fell apart. But not everybody really was in agreement. And there might not be an answer as simple as the slogan that somebody tosses around. But it might be a good idea to hear both sides. It might be a good idea for both sides to listen to each other and to understand each other's sensitivities. Might even be a good idea for a nice mutual exchange. No, I take that back. Several mutual exchanges of respect and civility. That wouldn't hurt. And you know what? We might be able to get somewhere. On some issues, like being an umpire or a referee in an athletic match, your decisions are not going to make everybody happy. But you can at least give everybody some respect. And see what can be. That part, I would like to think, should be simple. I'm Iden. Blessed be. Next week, We've got Imbolc coming up, and we're going to have a celebration here. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you there. I'll see you next week, and blessed be. Uriel's Gifts and the Secrets in Plain Sight are sponsored by the Temple of Gaia. At Temple of Gaia, we don't train you to our path. We show you how to find and pursue your own path. Above all, we tried to provide a great place to come together and to share. We're located in Collingdale, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, and wherever cyberspace can be reached. To learn more, visit our website at templeofgaiainc.org or our meeting place in cyberspace at templeofgaia.ning.com. Thank you for coming. Feel free to return at any time. We intend to always have something for you here. Blessed be. This has been a presentation of the Wise Ones Net. Merry part and blessed be.